So in chapter 5 we will discuss about process synchronization, mainly in a multitasking multi-programming environment. There will be multiple processes which are executing at the same time. So in that case there will be certain processes that will be depending on each other. Therefore, proper ordering and proper sequencing of instructions when multiple processes are executing is required. So therefore, in process synchronization we will discuss about multiple processes accessing same set of variables and do different operations and produce outputs. So in that case, when a particular process starts its execution and another process depending on that process's output, then if it is not properly ordered, then it can produce erroneous values or wrong output. So we will see the actual problem in process execution and what are the solutions that we can have to overcome this process synchronization problems. So in this chapter mainly we will discuss about the background in process synchronization, why we need proper process synchronization using some examples. And so when we identify multiple processes using same set of variables to do certain operations, so there are certain terminology that we need to identify. One is the critical section, and there's another term called race condition. So we'll see what are these terms and their definition, and I will explain using certain examples in process synchronization. Then to overcome process synchronization problem, there are multiple solutions. So Peterson's solution is one such solution. So there are many solutions that we will discuss here. Lock and key, swap, semaphores. So like that we will see what are the available solutions for process synchronization problem, and there are certain classical problems in synchronization that we will discuss here, like dining philosopher's problem, and we'll see how operating systems implement these solutions to overcome improper ordering of processes. And these are the objectives of this particular module. So when there are multiple processes ready for execution, and when processes start its execution, where certain data is shared among them. So if the proper execution is not ordered, then there will be a lot of inconsistencies, because in such a set of processes, if one process is waiting for another process to complete, and without waiting when that process starts its execution, then it will create a lot of inconsistencies, sometimes erroneous values. So at the end, the operating system might malfunction, or the end user might not get the accurate results. So therefore, proper process synchronization is very much required. So the operating system should maintain the consistency and ensure orderly execution of cooperating processes. So in chapter 3 we discuss about different types of processes. One is independent processes and the other one is cooperating processes. So if the process is independent, so there's no problem. So it will work independently and it's not depending on any other processes available. But mainly the process synchronization problem comes when there are cooperating processes. So modern operating systems mainly functions using cooperating processes. So that means one process depending on another process, maybe one process depending on many other processes. So therefore, proper ordering of processes are required to give accurate results. So um, last time we discussed about consumer producer problem in chapter 3. So if you can remember, there's a problem we have identified. One problem in this producer consumer solution is that we could not fill all the buffer values, all the elements in the array, because of a particular increment. So we were not able to fill all the elements in the buffer. So as a solution, we can propose an integer to keep track of the numbers of elements that are filled, right? So initially the count will be set to 0 because the array is null. Then when a producer produces an item, count will be increased by 1. So in programming terms, we can set it to count plus plus. And when the consumer performs once, then count will be reduced by 1. That means count minus minus. So we can use this to implement as a solution. So you can try it out. So you can set the count to 0 when the buffer size is 1, like the previous example. Then we can check how this particular producer and the consumer works. So we can run the producer for six times and execute the consumer 5 times and check whether all the items can be filled and all the items can be taken out. So these are the codes, modified codes. So here the modification is the count. Count you compare with the buffer size, and if count equals a buffer size, then it won't do anything, it's in the loop. So count starts from 0. When producer produces an item, count will be increased by 1, count plus plus. The rest of the code is the same. So when the count equals the buffer size, that means the buffer is or the array is filled, fully filled. Same way, the consumer will check whether the count is 0. That means there's no elements or no buffers filled. So in that case, it won't do anything because there's nothing to consume. Else, it will take take the element out and reduce the counter by 1. So it is counter minus minus. So you can run these two producer and the consumer code from the previous task I gave you and check whether you can take all the elements out as well as you can fill the array uh, without uh, keeping an element empty. So you can try it out.